I was just passing around flyers and telling everybody that day, if you know anyone who might fit this description, please, send them to us. And she stood up and she told me that she was interested in auditioning. She took off her sunglasses, and she just had the most angelic, androgynous, and beautiful face that I had ever seen. And told me that she was at the beginning of her transition, that she was half Puerto Rican and half Dominican, which made up Isai Morales and Judy Reyes, and that she had lived in the Bronx, which was great, and that acting had always been a dream of hers. So I had her in an audition. She had never been in a film before, and she had enough, naturalness there that I saw that I could build upon. And I asked her to come back dressed as a girl. She did that, and I told her right then and there that she had the role, but we were going to put her through a pretty rigorous, training process, about 6 weeks to get her ready and prepared for production, which we did.
And about the relationship between the two of them.
Oh yeah, as far as off screen there was a little bit of tension, honestly. Isai's a beautiful person, but he's kind of larger than life, and Harmony was like sort of in her shell, but kind of like don't tell me what to do, and a little feisty, So there was a little bit of tension there, but on and it served. It served on screen. It really, really did. But she respected both Isai and Judy. They're consummate professionals, and it really, really balanced. They were able to balance each other out because Isai and Judy are wonderful performers, and Harmony's the real thing. They're just raw. So it was a great balance to have them both on set.
Thank you. All right.
Last year in the festival, Claro, there was a film with a Latino baseline set in L.A. What was that? Right, with the son. There was there was tension between the father and son. The son was gay, the father. And this year we get your film set in Bronx, in New York, with a father and a gay son, with the added detail of the transgender aspect.
Right.
Does this kind of say something to you about how more prominent the Latino community is becoming within the context of LGBT?
Well, I don't know if I can. I'm Latino as well, so and so is Peter Brack who made La Mission. So I'm not sure if I guess they're getting recognition now. I guess these films are getting recognition now. Because I'm sure there's been films before, but maybe they just they weren't ready to be made, or people didn't weren't willing to give money to it. Didn't think it was a hot enough topic. I'm not sure, but I was inspired by someone in my own family, so and I realized that there was a void, in the culture where it wasn't really being spoken about, even though of course it exists. But oftentimes it's swept under the rug, hidden. We don't want to deal with it. It's taboo or whatever. But as a filmmaker, as an artist, this is my responsibility to, just take back that rug and say, like, let's address the issues that need to be addressed.
Stop and say, tell every story. Mm-hmm. That every story do have to be told. There has to be a storyteller, and that's kind of the effect that's where you're coming from. You're the storyteller, and there'll be more storytellers.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a question up here.
Okay.
How difficult was it to the more intimacy with Army that was your first time, and what was the shoot like for those days?
With the intimate scenes, like when she was like making love to Chris, or when she was changing, stuff like that. I try to make the atmosphere as safe as possible for her, to have as few crew members on set or in that room, and only myself looking at the screen as possible. It was a little tough, to ask her to do certain things, but she was willing, and yeah, we did as few takes as possible to get those scenes in the can.
I just want to start by really complimenting you, because one of the things that I found really excellent about this movie is that the three principal characters each go through a change. They each go through an arc and through development, and it's not just the transsexual character who's going through a change, but everybody's going through a change. And I thought that made the movie very interesting and multifaceted. Can you just tell us a little bit about, sort of how much it cost to do this, how difficult it was, how long it took to film? Just kind of give us a little sense of what all that was like.
Sure. It was. We didn't have a lot of money, under $1 million, under $10 million, we didn't have a lot of time. We had about 3 weeks to shoot, this is the nature of independent film, and the limitations though add to the passion of it, and everybody has to just kind of stand up and do it. So we had a lot of limitations, and it was hot. It was in the middle of the summer, and the air conditioners were breaking, and electricity. I mean, it was really, really tough, but we were able to pull through. Yeah.
So was the money foundation, private, combination?
We had a little bit of money through grants and stuff like that, to get started, but then eventually it was private equity. Should I choose? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was I correct in saying the subtext between the father and the other prisoner that might have been sexual in prison?
You are correct in stating that it might have been sexual. Yes.
I get that you have some experienced, good actors here, but this was a very professional film. You're very talented, both a director and a writer. I just wanted you to tell us a little about yourself and how you got here.
Oh, thank you so much. I actually started out as an actor. I fell in love with acting when I was in college, and I went to grad school for acting at NYU. I spent a few years in the industry and realized I have no power whatsoever. I don't see the stories that I want to act in. I don't see any of that, and I'm begging to be in Law and Order, when I don't even watch the show. So, I decided, that I wanted to have a little bit more creative control, and take the bull by the horns and make the story myself. So I went back to school at NYU, and this is my thesis film. So I'm just graduating in a couple months. You had a question in this vicinity? Yes.
Why did you decide to send the father back to prison? Did you ever consider having a happy ending based on reconciliation?
He asked about, why did I send the dad back to prison? Did I ever think about a happy ending? Yes, of course I thought about a happy ending, but then I thought, I don't want to tell a Disney story, the reality of the situation is, much more drastic than in the film. I at least wanted to give him a chance at redemption, a chance at hope. So I'm trying to leave you with hope, but without the kitschy Disney ending. We shot a different ending. We shot an ending where Angela visits her husband in prison without Michael Vanessa present, and they have a little look of regret there, and then we see Michael Vanessa on the rooftop taking a picture of the sun setting, and it was picturesque and it was beautiful, and it was too much of a bow tie, so we cut it off and left it where it is now.
In the last scenes of the film, I was betting that the Tine character would be murdered by the man he injured. Did you ever consider that ending?
No. but the guy that I cast as the guy he injured, said that in part 2 he wanted to come back and do a program. Yeah. Is it that?
Where is Harmony now in her transition?
Well, she's 24/7, 24/7 as a female. She's still, of course, she's pre-op and she can't afford that just yet. But the funny thing is, when she was showing up to set at first, she came before we started production and told me, Rashaad, I'm changing my name to Harmony, and I'd like people to refer to me as, she and her and such. And but it was difficult for the cast and crew to kind of fall in line because she was still showing up to set dressed as the boy and playing Michael. And but by the end of production, which was only 3 weeks, she gained confidence and she kind of fell into her own skin. And I don't know if it was as a result of playing Vanessa or what it was, but she just like opened like a butterfly, like right before our very eyes, and never stepped back. Like she was fully Harmony by the end of that production. So the transition that you're seeing on screen was actually happening in our same life, in her life at the same time.
One more.
Well, I'm really excited to hear that now I'm a Q&A that the actress in herself is actually a transgender young person herself. I work for a queer and trans youth of color organization in New York, and I'm just curious, like there's so few films and narratives that are sort of from the perspective of trans youth of color, particularly trans women, that it would be really interesting to know kind of what your intention is around how to sort of bring this film to the queer and trans community in New York and around the country, and obviously I'd love to exchange information.
Of course, yeah, no, of course. You should email us. You should, we should exchange right after here because I would like to. Is this still on?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to get it out to the community. Exactly like you said, we have group outreach. We haven't been as successful as we had wanted to be because of just how fast everything is going. But we work with HMI, Hedrick Martin Institute in New York, and we've had some screenings with them. We're still plugging away at GLAAD and organizations like this, and we'll see what happens. So, guys, thank you so much for having me down.